Oi, oi, we have ourselves some breaking news. News that I thought had already broken, by the way. Bit techie this. Esteban Ocon says one Andrew Benson has signed officially for Haas F1. And again, this is a bit techie because I thought this was common knowledge. We've been talking about this for weeks, but apparently Andrew Benson has broken it on his Q&A that he does every single race weekend before the automotive pugilism festivities kick off in earnest. But I thought he'd signed already, maybe not officially. And again, I say all this to say this, that remember, all F1 journalistic publications are created equally, but some are created more equally than others. And Andrew Benson is the apex predator as far as journalistic integrity. If he puts it out on the BBC F1 sports page, then of course you can take this one to the bank. And he has done that. He was asked the question, do you think there will be any more driver announcements before the summer break? And he came back, he responded, Esteban Ocon has signed to join Haas next season. BBC Sport has been told, and this is expected to be announced imminently, quite possibly in the run-up to this weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix. Oh, the humanity, oh, the chaos. Driver silly season isn't silly seasoning so much anymore, is it? Benson continues, this comes from well-placed sources close to Haas and Mercedes, who manage the Frenchman. As Haas has already signed Briton Oliver Behrman on the back of his brilliant performance at Jeddah for 2025. This means that Kevin Haas is out of the US-based team at the end of the season and is looking to either Alpine, Sauber or Williams for an F1 lifeline. Oh, the humanity. It's going on, Christian. Law VS. What are we doing here, chap? Legend Law VS. God tier F1 YouTuber. Put some respect on his name. Ocon has signed. Chaos. Let me tell you why that's chaos. Of course, he was a bit mistake ridden, wasn't he? Unforced error from time to time. But nevertheless, this is on trend for Alpine, who keep letting key personnel go out the door. What are they doing? Do they know who they are as an F1 team? Do they even want to win races? Don't believe me. Let's have a look. Names worthy of mention as far as those who they've let out the door over the past couple of years. Otmar Safnauer, God tier racing F1 man. So too Fernando Alpine Alonso, remember him? Man from Oviedo, Astoria. Oscar Piastri, you remember the photos and the videos of that dude holding up a placard saying the best work experience ever. The legal team over at Alpine botched it. Now, that fella, one of the hottest prospects in F1, is over at the papaya-coloured team, McLaren. What are we doing, Alpine? Surely one of the oldest stories in F1 history. If you harbour aspirations to win yourself championships and therefore races, then people is your currency. Sign good ones and do your damnedest to keep them. Alpine haven't been doing that for the past 36 months, if ever, which raises questions about their future, does it not? What are they doing? Where are they going? Let's talk about Esteban Ocon. Because, of course, he made a mistake at Alpine's home Grand Prix, near as makes no difference, Monaco. He did have a cheeky liability in him. You can't crash your teammate, especially in a midfield, backfield team like Alpine, in a cost cap era, no less. It makes no sense. It's counterintuitive. It's embarrassing. At Monaco, Esteban, come on, chap. You know better than that. You were advised at the beginning of the Monaco Grand Prix, just do not crash your teammate. You had one job, get that assignment. You failed that mission, sir. And that, of course, isn't good enough. However, he's a brilliant driver, one of the hottest prospects in F1. Don't believe me? Let's check out the head-to-head. In qualifying year to date, he best Pierre Gasly, his teammate, fellow Frenchman, 8-4. Fastest lap terms, he's winning 5-4. What are we doing? This is chaos. And again, if you're talking about a 2024 head-to-head as far as race, 7-5 is leading one Esteban Ocon. In sprints, Ocon leads 2-1. So as near as makes no difference across the board, Esteban Ocon has proven himself every bit worthy of beating one Pierre Gasly. What are we doing? Feels like another mistake from Alpine, but I don't know what we expect at this point. And again, there is uncertainty around their future. If you're at Esteban Ocon, you might count your blessings here. This might be the best thing that could happen to you. Indeed. What are they doing? You need the buy-in of the seniors, the higher-ups, right? And do they have that? Are they going to be building their own engines next year? They don't know. Are they going to continue to develop, to pummel the financial resources requisite to building themselves a race/market leading engine in 2026 when the new rules and the new tech specs kick in? Who knows? At the moment, they're pumping in 45 to 60 million a year, whereas the rest, the behemoths of F1, be Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull, Ford powertrains, are spending anywhere between 90 and 100 million US dollars. That smacks to me of financial negligence. They are barking up the wrong financial tree, are they not? And so maybe they want to outsource that going forward. Conversations are ongoing with Mercedes, and potentially that will be their engine manufacturer as of 2026. But I say all that to say this: there is a lot of certainty surrounding Alpine as an F1 entity, a going concern going forward. In stark contrast, where Esteban Ocon's going, Haas on the up and up, eh? Momentum any. Look at Hulkenberg roundly outperforming one Checo Perez in a Red Bull over the past few Grand Prix. What are we doing? What are we doing? They now announce themselves an engine deal with Ferrari 2028. Continuity settings, consistency, harmony. That's what you need to be a success in Formula One. Indeed, you could argue that together with your people, the intellectual property, your ability to sign them and keep them, those things, your success will be a function of them going forward. Bravo, Haas. I didn't see that one coming. And again, let me give you a cheeky 2 for 1, because Andrew Benson likes to break some news very discreetly, doesn't he? And he talks about Adrian Newey on the BBC Sport website. He said this. Newey was asked in an interview with BBC Sport last November which driver he most wished he had worked for, and he actually named, amongst others, Fernando El Plan Alonso, man from Oviedo, Asturias. Where does he drive for, chat? The Green Machine. Aston Martin, potentially. As for design chief Newey's future, following his decision, get your words out, Cameron, to leave Red Bull, the word is that the chances of him moving to Ferrari have receded significantly. Oh, but why? Why say you that, Mr. Andrew Benson of the BBC Sport? He continues, sources close to Ferrari have told BBC Sport that the Chief Executive Officer, Benedetto Vigna, has balked at the level of salary Newey commands, and that there is a concern that he would have too much power and could override the system inside the company. Oh, the humanity. This feels like a faux pas if ever I've seen one. F1 baloney, in fact. Adrian Newey is one of the go-to minds in F1 that F1 has ever seen. Man who originated aero in ground effect, as near as makes no difference. Man who wrote his thesis in 1980 whenever on ground effect in sports cars. If anybody knows how to make some new regulations tick in 2026, it will be him. Design, tax, avoidance. You know, you got to comb through the rules, says Adrian Newey, not to see what they do say, but to see what they don't say, with a view to leverage those, take advantage of those, a la Braun in 2009 with the double diffuser. Adrian Newey is your guy. If you harbour aspirations to win Grand Prix, if not championships going forward, you give that dude a check and you allow him to write whatever number he wants on it, however many zeros. What are we playing at? Scuderia Ferrari. And again, it's not like this team are doing well at the moment, are they? Bringing upgrades that indeed are downgrades. Running 2 sets of cars. Carlos Sainz on the old setup, Charles Leclerc on the new. What are we doing, Scuderia Ferrari? I don't even want my driver, Sir Lewis Hamilton, to go to that team if indeed the frequency of their ineptitude and incompetence is at this level. It cannot ensue, Ferrari. And one way certain to turn around that is, of course, to sign Adrian Newey. But Andrew Benson reports that they do not want to do that. Senior sources in the sport say Adrian Newey is actively engaged with who? Let me know who you think, chat. What's going on, Salvin? Who is Adrian Newey, legend of Formula One, goatiest aerodynamic mind that's ever aerodynamic? Who is he engaging? Answers on a postcard. Aston Martin, says Benson. I'll read that out again. This is the news, right? This is the story. Senior sources in the sport say that Newey is actively engaged with Aston Martin at the moment, and that this is looking his most likely destination. McLaren remain another possibility. Newey, meanwhile, is said not to have made up his mind where to go. Go on then. We know for a fact that Adrian Newey has had 2 exclusive factory tours, one a couple of weeks ago, one last week, I am told, reliably. What does that mean then? That means that Lawrence Stroll, typically, as he's taught to at his livery launch last year, I want to say, when he gets passionate about something, he wants to win. And he understands that a stepping stone, one of the surest ones, is to get Adrian Newey on side. He's clearing the decks, is he not? Gotten rid of Martin Whitmarsh as Group CEO, who ostensibly, if rumour on the F1 curb is to be believed, Adrian Newey wants nothing to do with. He would not work for Aston Martin if indeed a prerequisite of that deal were working with/for one Martin Whitmarsh. Lest we forget, Martin Whitmarsh escorted Adrian Newey out of the door once upon a time, McLaren settings. We have ourselves a favourite, Lorvies. What are we doing? In a way, Newey's being fought over by Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. Wow, when you do when you're the affection of 2 kingdoms, you've made it, Lorvies. Dropping the fire. I think you're on the money, sir. I think you boil it down. It's a bit techie for this stream, but we'll definitely get into it another time. Aston Martin have the whip hand then. As far as the race for one Adrian Newey, it appears, per Andrew Benson, again, one of the goatiest F1 journos who have ever F1 journoed. Reliable settings. It appears that the green machine, that Lawrence Stroll has the whip hand. How does this bode for Behrman? Will he rise to the occasion, says Christian? I want to touch on that later. It's really difficult to assess the uppermost ceiling as far as these drivers' potential with such a small sample size now. We've only seen him one race, and again, F1 cars are very, not easy to drive, but easier as versus yesteryear, right? So, of course, you're going to expect an F2 driver as good as Ollie Behrman to come in and show and prove. Okay, so he did better than expected, scored points, etc., etc. But I don't think that's, I don't know, I think that's broadly in line with a driver of his capability. Lest we forget, bloody Nick De Vries jumped in and looked like a world beater. But how did that turn out? And again, that's the... maybe Ollie's the exception that proves the rule, but we gotta stay patient, reserve judgment, because it's gonna get techie with Ollie next year. But I don't know. Oh my god, I was just watching your video. Look, I know, listen, Law VS will be talking on Thursday. There will be a shakedown at some point with Sir Baxty, Shez, and Law VS, and we will break down everything and talk to everything. But it will be a privilege because Law VS, I mean, purple sector YouTube channels don't come much more purple. But listen, that's your news. In summary, Adrian Newey looks very likely to sign with one of Aston Martin or McLaren. Andrew Benson says at this point, Adrian Newey hasn't made up his mind just yet, but Aston Martin may be the front runner. And secondly, Esteban Ocon signs for one Haas F1, leaves the flotsam and jetsam of Formula One. That is Alpine. They can't make their mind up. They keep letting good people leave. And what is a good F1 team that can't keep its good people? Not very good, eh? It's my story and I'm sticking to it, but I digress.